Hi, I'm Catherine Korostoff with Research Rockstar, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about mobile ethnography and about our new course on mobile ethnography that's launching in 2017. The reason why mobile ethnography is such an important topic for us in professional research is because it's a very powerful new observational research method. And an observational research method is very much in contrast to directed research methods. So at the highest level, if we think about the dozens of different methods we have in our tool chest these days, some methods are more observational and some methods are more directed where we're actually asking people questions. So if you think about a lot of research studies, we do a lot of surveys, focus groups, in-depth interviews. Those have been our workhorses for decades in market research. And those are great methods. And asking people questions is a really powerful thing. But we also know that there are a lot of topics for which asking people questions is not the best method, that it's really hard for people to accurately self-report certain things like certain types of behaviors, attitudes. It's hard for people to self-report emotional reactions to things. And we also know there's certain sources of bias that can be hard to control for, including acquiescence bias and social desirability bias. And so observational methods give us a way to really tackle projects where we're concerned that those things might be really a high risk for us so that we can get better quality data. So mobile ethnography is a variation on traditional ethnography, and it really allows us to tackle those types of projects. So let's start off first to make sure we all know what traditional ethnography is. Ethnographic research has been part of our tool chest for a long time in market research. It's really where anthropology meets market research. And it's about studying people either as individuals or in groups. So for example, if you're doing a study on kitchen appliances, you might recruit people to observe them as they're using their kitchen appliances in their home while they're preparing, say, a Sunday meal. Or you might be doing a study where you're going to observe groups of people, for example, as they behave at a concert or in a shopping mall situation or on a college campus. So there are different types of studies that we can do with ethnographic research, either individual or groups. But in any case, it involves immersion. So we're trying to study people in their natural environment to get the richest insights, as opposed to bringing them into an artificial environment. So we could bring people into a lab or a focus group facility to show them a kitchen appliance and have them use it, or we can observe people using a kitchen appliance in their own kitchen. So two very, very different types of things that we can do there. Now, there are various definitions that are more academic about how to define ethnography, but the important thing that they all talk about is that it's about the natural context, right? We want to observe people and we want that natural context as opposed to an artificial lab environment. But it's hard. And that's why very few researchers have the luxury of doing much ethnographic research. In fact, if you look at most case studies of successful ethnographic research studies, they're usually from very, very large organizations because you need a fair number of people and a really big budget to do ethnographic research at, in any significant kind of way. Also, it can take a long time. Personally, the studies that I've been involved with have taken at least 4 months start to finish. And I know plenty of ethnographic studies that have been a year or more. By the time you recruit people, do all the in-field observations and report the results, it really does take a long time. There's also some uncertainty. Like any other research methods, there are certain risks, and ethnographic research is certainly no exception. One of the key items that we have to think about when we're talking about ethnographic research is we know that when people are being watched, they behave differently. It's called the Hawthorne effect. And while a good researcher can help mitigate those risks and control those risks, it is a human reaction to being observed. So it's something that we need to be aware of and manage for. There's also costs, right? Doing this kind of research, as you can imagine, is extremely expensive. Not only the cost of recruiting people who are going to participate in the research, but the cost of sending researchers out into the field. So typically when you're doing any sizable ethnographic study, you're sending at least 3 to 5 people into the field over a period of time, and that is a huge expense that a lot of organizations really find hard to fund. So the key point of ethnography is the field work, right? We want to be in the field. That's the essence of ethnographic research. But there's good news. These days, we all have a device in the palm of our hands that can help us do that observation for us, effectively turning ethnography into self-ethnography. The mobile device captures text, photos, videos, even geolocation information. And so now there are a number of different platforms that are available to us so that we can basically recruit research participants to do self-ethnography. The advantage? Well, now you don't have to send those researchers into the field. The participants are the researchers. There's less cost, less time, and frankly, the potential for a lot less bias. Now, mobile ethnography does have a lot of jargon and key concepts. So in our 4-week class, we will start you off by making sure that you know all the key language, all the key pieces of jargon, so that as you're talking to clients or suppliers or partners, that you have a good set of common knowledge about what the language is and how to talk about these things so that you can communicate effectively with people and feel confident in those conversations. The exciting thing about this course is that we're also going to be giving you 4 demonstrations where you really get to see up close and personal what it's like to use 4 different mobile ethnography platforms. One of the platforms we'll be using is Qualboard Mobile from 2020 Research. Over the course of the 4 weeks, we're going to be covering a lot of key topics. By the time we get to the end of the class, we're going to be doing 2 case studies so that you can really get in depth and see how these tools can be so powerful. But we also want to make sure that we talk about their, risk factors, right? All research methodologies have them, and certainly this is no exception. So we're going to give you a 6-step process that you can follow so that as you start to plan and execute your first mobile ethnography project, you'll know what the risks are, and you'll have a very specific checklist you can follow to make sure you mitigate those risks. On day 4 of the class, we're also going to talk about how to report these research results. Mobile ethnography can yield some extremely powerful research results, but it's very different than reporting the results from, say, surveys and traditional focus groups. The 4-week class is going to have 6 hours of total class time. It's going to have the 4 product demonstrations, and all students, of course, will get a PDF of the class workbook and the class slides, and 60-day access to the class recordings. To register for this class, please visit training.researchrockstar.com. Thanks.